History conceals secrets far older than any of us might imagine. Secrets hidden in stone, buried beneath millennia of silence. Among the rolling hills of southeastern Turkey lies Gobekli Tepe, a site so ancient it challenges everything we think we know about human civilization. For years, archaeologists and scholars have tried to unravel its mysteries. But could it be that the answers have always been hidden? In plain sight? Tonight, we delve deeply into forbidden archaeology, exploring startling connections never before considered. Ancient symbols, mysterious stonework, astronomical alignments, all pointing toward one extraordinary possibility, that the world's oldest temple holds the lost origins of Freemasonry. What if the story we've been told is incomplete? What if the brotherhood that claims to come from time immemorial truly does? Prepare yourself. This journey will challenge everything you thought you knew. Across the globe, scattered on every continent, stand monumental enigmas crafted by cultures long vanished. From the solemn majesty of Stonehenge, whose stones track celestial patterns, to the silent rows of Karnak, echoing alignments lost in time, humanity has always sought meaning in stone. From Egypt's timeless pyramids, precision aligned to cosmic cycles, to the colossal Olmec stoneheads in the jungles of Central America, we find a universal language etched into these monuments, symbols of creation, renewal, geometry, and hidden knowledge. But why is it that this same symbolic language has persisted, virtually unchanged, into the rituals and symbols of Freemasonry? Is it possible that these ancient stone builders, the keepers of secret wisdom, did not simply vanish, but instead passed their knowledge silently through generations, concealed within guilds of stonemasons, who would eventually give rise to the craft itself? Tonight, as we explore the secrets hidden in these ancient stones, we must ponder a profound question. Have we stumbled upon a secret lineage, a universal tradition stretching over 12,000 years, from Göbekli Tepe to Freemasonry, a tradition preserved quietly, yet deliberately across millennia? At the heart of Gobekli Tepe stand its most enigmatic figures, the so-called T-pillars. Archaeologists have long debated their symbolism, puzzled by their anthropomorphic form. Yet closer inspection reveals something extraordinary. Each pillar is carefully adorned, not merely decorated, but unmistakably dressed. Consider first the delicate carvings encircling the neck of these pillars. Expertly crafted, they bear a striking resemblance to ceremonial collars, precisely of the type worn in rituals practiced by Freemasons to this day. Mere coincidence, or purposeful symbolism hidden openly before our eyes? But it doesn't end there. Look closely. Beneath these symbolic collars, each pillar also clearly displays what can only be described as belts. Hanging from these belts are carved forms strikingly similar to the Masonic apron, traditionally representing purity and craftsmanship in Masonic rites. Is it possible that these stone figures were depicting a ritualistic attire thousands of years before Freemasonry officially emerged? Could these ancient artisans have intended to preserve the symbolic attire of a forgotten brotherhood? And if so, what does this imply about the true antiquity of Freemasonry itself? We are forced, inevitably, to ask, are we witnessing merely artistic decoration? Or have we uncovered evidence of the earliest known Masonic regalia, frozen forever in stone? Göbekli Tepe astonishes not only because of its great antiquity, but perhaps even more profoundly because of the breathtaking skill displayed in its stonework. Observe closely the precision carving, the perfectly dressed stone surfaces, and the meticulously fitted joints. These are not merely the work of primitive craftsmen. They speak unmistakably of masters, men deeply versed in geometry, proportion, and symmetry. It is impossible not to draw parallels between these Neolithic masterpieces and the work of later stonemasons, the very guildsmen whose knowledge formed the bedrock of Freemasonry itself. The precision we admire in the great Gothic cathedrals of Europe finds its echo, thousands of years earlier, here at Göbekli. But how could such advanced techniques appear so fully formed, seemingly from nowhere, more than 11,000 years ago? Could this astonishing leap in skill suggest a hidden lineage, an unbroken tradition of stoneworking mastery preserved secretly through the ages, from Göbekli to the cathedrals of medieval Europe, and ultimately within Freemasonry itself? Once again, the stones speak louder than history books. Could Göbekli Tepe truly represent the origin of a Masonic legacy, a secret tradition of master masons, preserved silently in stone across millennia? Every carved symbol at Göbekli Tepe tells a story, an encoded message from a distant, forgotten past. From the intricate animal motifs, meticulously placed astronomical references, to the enigmatic geometric patterns, each carving invites deeper contemplation. But have we truly deciphered their message? Consider the prominence of certain symbolic animals. The serpent, emblematic of wisdom and renewal. The vulture, associated with regeneration and rebirth. And the bull, a long-standing symbol of strength and foundational power. Intriguingly, these same symbols reappear centuries later, deeply embedded in the symbolic language of Freemasonry. Yet, perhaps most startling is the clear presence of geometric symbolism. The recurring emphasis on squares, circles, and alignments, strongly evocative of the iconic square and compasses of Freemasonry. Can it be mere coincidence that these ancient carvings mirror the sacred geometry at the very heart of Masonic symbolism? we must ask ourselves honestly, are we merely projecting familiar symbols onto these ancient stones? Or did the builders of Göbekli Tepe deliberately encode a profound symbolic language preserved through secret traditions into our present-day Masonic rituals? Göbekli Tepe's circular enclosures are one of its most striking features. Mysterious stone rings surrounding pairs of centrally placed T-shaped pillars. Archaeologists speculate these represent a profound symbolic arrangement, yet their true meaning remains elusive. Or does it? Consider carefully the symbolism of the Royal Arch's triple Tau, a circle encompassing three intersecting T shapes. This sacred emblem symbolizes unity, spiritual perfection, and hidden truths revealed through initiation. But observe closely. Could it be that the very same symbolism is embedded more than 11,000 years earlier in the architecture of Göbekli Tepe itself? The structural parallels are impossible to dismiss. Circular sacred space, T-shaped central elements, and a profound emphasis on geometric harmony. Are we simply imagining this striking similarity, or are we witnessing evidence of an unbroken esoteric tradition, encoded subtly yet deliberately across vast gulfs of time? Could it truly be that Göbekli Tepe's enclosures were not simply temples, but the earliest expression of Royal Arch symbolism itself, carved into the very earth, waiting silently through millennia to be rediscovered? Among the ancient treasures unearthed near Göbekli Tepe stands the extraordinary figure known as Urfa Man, carved nearly 12,000 years ago, recognized today as humanity's oldest life-sized sculpture. Its solemn presence evokes wonder, but closer examination reveals something profoundly shocking. Observe carefully the attire of Urfa Man. The figure appears unmistakably adorned. Around his neck, a carefully crafted collar. Upon his chest, a symbolic V-shaped ornament reminiscent of ritual jewels. And around his waist, a precisely delineated apron, each remarkably reminiscent of ceremonial regalia worn by Freemasons today. Could Urfa Man actually represent an ancient initiate, perhaps the very first Freemason, proudly depicted in ritual attire millennia before modern Freemasonry was supposedly established? Such a suggestion is, of course, astonishing. Yet, the evidence carved in stone seems undeniable. Could this enigmatic statue preserve not merely the image of a prehistoric figure, but a profound secret, a direct link between humanity's earliest symbolic art and the ceremonial garb of Freemasonry? Was Urfa Man intended as a timeless guardian, silently holding the secret origins of the craft itself? Göbekli Tepe is not merely remarkable for the intricacy of its stonework or its symbolic carvings. Its builders appear to have carefully aligned their monuments to celestial phenomena. Each stone enclosure is oriented deliberately, marking solstices, equinoxes, or significant stellar events. But why? Intriguingly, this deliberate celestial orientation is echoed within modern Freemasonry. Lodges are famously aligned along an east-west axis, symbolizing enlightenment, spiritual awakening, and cosmic harmony. Can it truly be mere coincidence that Göbekli Tepe shares precisely the same astronomical orientation thousands of years earlier. Are we seeing evidence of a shared sacred knowledge, a timeless tradition encoded through celestial alignment, connecting Neolithic builders directly to the architects of Masonic lodges? Perhaps these ancient craftsmen, gazing skyward, encoded their insights into stone, passing down their celestial wisdom, carefully preserved within the ritual traditions of the craft. In aligning their sacred spaces with the heavens, were Göbekli's ancient architects laying the foundations of a tradition of cosmic symbolism, a tradition quietly yet unmistakably mirrored within the lodges of Freemasonry today. One intriguing yet largely overlooked aspect of Gobekli Tepe is the explicit masculinity embedded within its symbolic sculptures and carvings. Remarkably, virtually every anthropomorphic figure discovered here is distinctly male, solemn, dignified, embodying an atmosphere of quiet authority and ritual purpose. Freemasonry, of course, is historically known as a male-oriented initiatory tradition, emphasizing fraternity, brotherhood, and masculine symbolism. This profound similarity invites speculation. Could the male-focused iconography at Göbekli represent an early precursor to these exclusively male rites? Historians of Freemasonry have long debated the origins of the fraternity's exclusively male tradition. Yet here we find compelling evidence, dating back more than 11,000 years, of a culture similarly centered on male ritual practices. Are we witnessing merely coincidence, or might Göbekli Tepe represent the earliest expression of the male initiatory rites preserved by Masons today? Perhaps the most startling evidence linking Göbekli Tepe to Freemasonry lies hidden, not in its stones, but in its mysterious symbols. Carved repeatedly across these pillars is a distinctive H-shaped mark, whose meaning has long baffled archaeologists. Could this enigmatic symbol, thousands of years old, hold the key to understanding one of Freemasonry's deepest secrets? The letter G? The connection becomes clearer when we trace the letter's hidden historical relationship. The Phoenician alphabet, humanity's oldest known phonetic script, gave us two crucial letters, Het and Gimel. From Het evolved the Greek letter Eta, eventually influencing the Latin H. Gimel, meanwhile, became Gamma, then evolved into the Latin letters C and subsequently G. Thus, these letters, separate in their origins, converged visually and symbolically across time. Could the mysterious H carvings at Göbekli Tepe represent an early form of what would become the sacred G of Freemasonry? Did these Neolithic architects encode, using a primordial alphabet, knowledge which later emerged openly within Masonic symbolism? Perhaps Göbekli's builders were not simply erecting monuments, but encoding their most sacred secrets, preserving them in symbolic form, a language whose meaning remained hidden until now, revealed once again as the unmistakable G of Freemasonry. Perhaps the most unmistakable link between Göbekli Tepe and Freemasonry lies in its architecture itself. Each enclosure at this ancient site contains exactly two dominant T-shaped pillars, standing proudly at the center, framing a sacred space. The question naturally arises, why 2 pillars, and why precisely positioned in this manner? Freemasonry places great symbolic importance upon the 2 pillars, Jachin and Boaz, positioned prominently in every lodge as symbolic gateways representing strength, stability, and wisdom. Can it truly be a mere coincidence that Gobekli Tepe, humanity's earliest known temple, replicates precisely this symbolic duality in stone millennia earlier? Consider further. In both cases, these pairs of pillars appear as ceremonial markers delineating sacred ritual space. Both pairs frame passageways between worlds, symbolic thresholds that define the boundaries between the profane and the sacred, darkness and enlightenment, ignorance and knowledge. As we ponder these striking parallels, one cannot help but ask, are these ancient pillars merely architectural features, or have we discovered, hidden plainly for thousands of years, the earliest manifestation of the twin pillars of Freemasonry, waiting silently through history for initiates to recognize their true meaning? Tonight, we have ventured deep into the mysteries of Göbekli Tepe, uncovering connections that challenge the very foundations of history, from the precision geometry of its pillars echoing the square and compasses, to the striking parallels between ancient carvings and modern Masonic symbolism. We have traced an astonishing continuity of tradition across the millennia. We have seen enclosures aligned precisely to celestial cycles, reminiscent of lodges oriented to the sacred east, symbolic carvings prefiguring rituals still practiced in Masonic halls, and the enigmatic Urfa man whose silent presence now resonates profoundly, perhaps the earliest master mason depicted in history. Could all these connections be mere coincidence? Or is it possible, even probable, that we have uncovered a hidden lineage, a sacred thread woven secretly through human history, preserved silently by initiates, masters, and stoneworkers, from Göbekli Tepe through Egypt, Stonehenge, and the great medieval cathedrals, finally surfacing openly within the lodges of Freemasonry? Tonight, we have glimpsed what may be Freemasonry's true origins, preserved silently, waiting patiently through untold ages of time. If these stones could speak, perhaps they would confirm what Masons have long claimed. Their tradition truly comes from time immemorial, hidden in plain sight, preserved faithfully in stone. For a deep dive into the history, philosophy, and traditions of Freemasonry, subscribe to From the Quarries. You will find hundreds of lectures, presentations, shorts, and other Masonic works written by Freemasons for Freemasons. Visit FromTheQuarries.com or YouTube at From the Quarries.